So we'd woken up on the second day to the roaring of a massive ocean outside our bedroom window. Wow. The sun's just come up again. We're on the second day of this mega swell. I don't even know what to call this anymore. It's just crazy. I reckon the biggest swell we've seen here in my lifetime. The only swell I've seen that resembles this was Cyclone Des Moines in 1985. Half the coastline of South Africa has been washed away. The swell peaked last night at over 10 meters. And the period went over 20 seconds on the buoy. Yeah, so as expected, this spike in the swell went up over 10 meters. You can see there, or up to 9 meters, which is what was forecast. We went over 20 seconds in period, and there's been massive damage down the coast. Man, this swell is just out of control. Really bummed I didn't surf yesterday. I was so busy filming everything and trying to get some content on this J-Bay swell, and by 8:30 the wind was up to 40 knots and going even further north than that, and it was almost unplayable, so it wasn't really worth it. A lot of broken boards, broken leashes. Just not worth it. I was hoping today it would have settled down. We've still got like 25 knots, but I'd said it was going to be big. Even I didn't realize how big the swell was going to be. It's just crazy. I'm going to go down now and video some of the damage, because oh my god, man, that view down the hill now is actually scary. It is so big. It's beyond freaking words. Man, I'm definitely going to head to Bruce's. Just look at that going past across the top of the car park. Oh my hat, that is just berserk. Ah, my hat. Macha. Yoo-hoo! Hey! Oh my god. Hey! Holy shit! Hey, we thought it was big yesterday. Oh, you got the drone up? Oh my hat. That's, oh my hat. I've just been filming the waves breaking across the thing going straight past. Just look at this. Oh my hat.
Let's go, Peter.
Holy shit. Yeah. Sus. Hey? This is the biggest swell I've ever seen here. By far. And look what's left of the freaking boardwalks. Oh my god. Holy shit. Man, it's even bigger than what I thought when I was looking from the top there. It's crazy. Oh, the boardwalks have been taken out. Yeah, the entire embankment is collapsed. We've got no more boardwalk. I mean, the damage is absolutely severe. It's crazy. That boardwalk's gone for a ball. And the damage down the beach is just unbelievable. Look at the rocks and stuff. It's crazy. Those houses are about to go for a swim. Absolutely crazy. Carnage on a biblical level. This place is going to go as well, eh? Got nothing left of the boardwalks, absolutely been taken out. I don't know what those, oh look, all the sandbags are gone on the bottom of those houses. Man, this is monumental damage, absolutely monumental damage. I don't know how much longer this is gonna last. It'll slide, it'll just go. You got to be careful. I mean, the damage on the freaking boardwalk here is just holy shit. The sand dune at Chiron's has been taken out completely. The boardwalk, I mean, it's like a disaster zone. All the rehabilitation they did before the J-Bay Open has been absolutely destroyed, all in one foul swoop. Just taking a walk down to the bottom of the boardwalk where we go onto the beach, and it's been totally destroyed. Holy moly. And all the reinforcing that was done has been completely destroyed. I mean, it's ripped open these cages, taken all the rock out. I mean, look at this. Oh my hat. Just rock lying everywhere. Just look at this mess. Look at the erosion. To come down later. Half the dunes disappeared, all the parapets and the reinforcing. Man, there's a lot of damage here. Crazy amount of damage here. The place doesn't even look like it used to. And this is nothing compared to some of the damage that's happened down the coast. And what's going to happen up the coast to Natal as well, because this swell is going up the coast. Oh my. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, there's just no sand. I'm going to have to watch out. I'm going to get caught by the run up here. Oh my gosh, that is completely nuts. It doesn't even look like supers. Well, I've got to watch out here. The rock's been shunted everywhere. Look at where this water came up to. This water's come 3/4 of the way up the walkway. I mean, never ever in your life could you imagine that. One very angry ocean. That boy ain't gonna help you much. So this is taken from where I was yesterday. Man, it's at least double the size today. The wind's backed off, but man, it is monstrous. And a pan back across here, it is absolutely humongous. Now the swell's a good 12 foot today, waiting for a bigger set. Definitely the biggest I've ever seen Magnas. Wow, wow, wow. You can compare this to the footage in the last video and see the difference in size scale. Look at how slowly these waves are breaking. That's immense. It's going through boneyards. Yeah, the devastation on the J Bay coastline there, the whole boardwalk is incredible. Decided to take a drive to St. Francis to check out Bruce's. We've got some heavy weather coming in here, rain, the wind's blowing probably 25-30, it's picked up again. But yeah, I've been dying to go and get some footage of that area. Also just to film the devastation on that beach. That beach has been completely taken out. So has half the coastline. So yeah, sad morning actually, but some interesting stuff to film though. Yeah, so I've said previously, I grew up in St. Francis Bay and used to surf Bruce's back in the day in the 70s when it was pure sand bottom and before all the changes came with the development. So I don't really go and surf there because I know what it was like in the early days and when it was in its prime, you know, the days of endless summer. And I basically don't go and surf it anymore because it's just not as good as what it used to be, or not even close to. But on these type of swells, when it's really out of control like this, Bruce's can deliver. So I'm hoping today will be one of those days. I'm sure there won't be the sand from the previous years. Back in the day it would break on pure sand off the rocks, and this isn't even a low tide on this footage. At least it's a wave that's rideable, because the washing at Supers now is out of control. You can't go and surf that. Just the current down the point and the fatness of the waves, it's just not worth paddling. So let's go and look at Bruce's. Now, so the last time I surfed here was about probably 20 years ago. There's some waves, but it's still really high on the tide. Killers at the top. Not enough sand to make it break, but maybe at 11 on the low it'll get even better. So while the tide dropped out, I took the opportunity to go down the beach and check on the damage and give you some insights into what it used to look like back then. Not as big as J Bay, but plenty of swell. Not much left of the beach either. It's hard to believe that back in the 60s and 70s, this was the view taken from the exact same place, looking back towards St. Francis Village. And this was the sand just as they were starting to cover the dunes and to do the development. And you can see how much sand there was at what we call the Granny Pool, and then looking down towards St. Francis Bay. Take note of the dunes on the left hand side of the beach and how high they were. Yeah, so this is what's left of the St. Francis beach. Really sad. This is where I grew up, where I started surfing right here. In those days we used to surf Hewlett's Reef and the beach break. I started surfing it at the age of 8 years old in the late 60s on single fins, and we'd just leave the boards on the beach, on the dunes, overnight. Just look at what's left of this beach. This beach has been absolutely destroyed. Look at the rock that's been thrown up here. Crazy. Yeah, this is footage on the previous day taken of the sand spit further up the beach, which is adjacent to the ski canal. You can see the waves going right over the revetments and over the top of the dune into the ski canal in the background. This used to be a big wide sand spit which was miles from the sea in the early days. Today it's busy eroding completely, and the guys on the canals are going to have beachfront properties shortly. Here you can see the width of the old sand spit in the old days when the sand was still coming out of the Sand River. This is what's happened overnight. They've done all these rock embankments to try and save the beach, and the surfers reclaimed it. Unbelievable. Just have a look at what's happened around the corner here on this beach. I can show you photographs of what this place used to look like in its day. Yeah, in the 70s this beach used to be super wide. You can notice the dunes in the background between the houses and the beach. And how wide this beach used to be. I mean, there's absolutely nothing left of it. Just look at that. Oh, it's seriously hard to believe that as kids we'd played on this beach and even had baseball games on the beach. It's actually hard to believe. This used to be all sand dune. This is the house that I grew up in. That's number 3 Sea Vista in the old days. That's one of the most original houses. That's the Ingram's house. That's one of the first houses that was built here. It's just after ours, but it's one of the originals. That hasn't changed. There's very few of the houses here that haven't changed from those days. But I mean, that used to be, we used to go over a massive sand dune here. And I mean, there's no sand dune left. And that beach used to go out to probably where those waves are breaking over there now. That's where the beach used to end. Yeah, it's hard to believe that this is our house here. And this is the Ingram's house here. And we're basically standing in this area over here somewhere, and you can see the distance from the beach, from the edge of the beach to the houses. It's a massive area, and that is no longer. That's all been washed away. I mean, there's absolutely nothing here. There's nothing left. It's unbelievable. We tried to talk the guys into building groins here. We needed to build at least 3 groins, like out to, you know, like needed 1 groin here and probably another one and possibly a 3rd one to try and save this beach. But yeah, the guys had other ideas and decided to put rock on the beach, and you can see the result of it. The result's an absolute bloody disaster. I mean, where I'm standing here now and where this house is used to be a massive dune. Where the vehicles park now, there used to be a sort of little road, a little dirt road that used to go through. There used to be 2 massive dunes here. Yeah, you can see the bush on the dunes from our original house. Would basically, the water would start somewhere down there where that wave's breaking. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy what's happened here. This entire development up Santorim, those used to be pure sand dunes. Yeah, this was the view of the front lawn of our original home in St. Francis. Here you can even see a small wave trying to break on a small swell. There was not one bush on there. That used to be sand. This entire area, in fact, used to be sand all the way to the point. And the moment they closed the dunes off and put the bush on there and developed it, yeah, that whole feeder system with the sand, it used to blow into the sea, like, you know, with those 40-knot winds yesterday, was what fed these beaches. This house was 100 meters from the sea. It's now 10 meters. I mean, this now is a complete disaster. There's no more feeder system, so there's no more beach. Yeah, it's incredibly sad to see what's happened here. So development is development, not having a go at anybody, but things have changed. So let's get back to the surfing. That's Clapton's Reef. Holy moly, that's Clapton's Reef. Breaking, I don't know, 2 miles out to sea. Holy shit, look at that. That'll be about 15 foot out there. Phew. Units left. Welcome to Bruce's Beauties. Not what it used to be in the old days, but there's definitely some waves. Should get better with the tide going out. Still very fat and flat. In its day, this used to be a sand bottom break. It used to barrel absolutely square. These days, there's not a lot of sand left, but it's still a fun wave. This bottom section is the original Bruce's Beauties area, but there's also an area which you can surf further up, which is called Killers. And I took a walk up to the top car park to go and film some of the top guys, or the better guys who normally surf that hollower section up in the top area. A couple of guys out at Bruce's. It's not great. A couple coming through at Killers. Now, it's a lot less sand than there used to be, unfortunately.
Oh, get in there, boy, get in there.
Nobody in the back one. Some very large waves passing by on the outside, but not entering the bay because it's quite an acute turn to get into the bay at St. Francis. These are the swells which are going across the bay and hitting J Bay full on. The Beauties, due to its proximity in the corner of the bay, works more on the south-southeast swells produced by onshore winds and cyclones. In the early days it used to work way more regularly on smaller swells and even on southwest swells due to the amount of sand that was there. These days it takes quite an aggressive swell to push into the bay and make a turn on. Yeah, it's definitely worth looking at the endless summer footage. Although it is very small, you could see how shallow it was and how clean the wave was, and you can just imagine how good it was back in the day with a swell this size. It was absolutely square. Most of this footage is of the Killers area, as it breaks more hollow than Bruce's these days. So with the tide filling in, here's a chance for us to go back and have a look at some of the archival footage I've got. The first two waves are myself surfing a town and country 5'10" forefin, a quad, incidentally shaped by Graham Smith of Smith Surfboards today. And most of the guys surfing in this were running boards under 6 foot, probably seriously undergunned. Yeah, these days you can see the difference between the old footage and now. The wave breaks much closer to the rocks. It's got a very much deeper area where it breaks, and there's a lot of refraction and bounce that comes off the rocks. It's just not as clean and as shallow and as hollow as it used to be. Yeah, these days you need an ultra low spring tide to make it work anything like it used to, and the period to ride it is much shorter. Once the tide starts pushing it, it gets too much water and it starts to get really fat. Back in the day there was always a rivalry between the St. Francis and J Bay guys. I would always give the guys a lot of grief and tell them how much hollower this wave was than Supers, but these days I think the roles have been reversed. Go! Should have gone. He's waited too long. These eyes are going to get clapped. You're going to be able to. These eyes are going to have to jump. Woo! Boys. He can go. He can actually go. He can go. Jump now. Jump. Go. There we go. Well done. There's a rock there. Whoopsie. I did as well. So I know I'm going to get a whole lot of people saying to me, oh yes, this big storm is climate change and that's why the coast's washing away, etc. But they forget about the dune field that was covered up for the development of St. Francis Bay. And then you come to this river here, which is the Sand River. And this river here was a sand field which stretched all the way to Oyster Bay. And there was absolutely no bush, no grass, no nothing. Myself and Neville Hewlett used to ride bikes, motocross bikes, from here all the way to Oyster Bay. Yeah, you can see in the early aerial footage how this sand field stretched all the way from Oyster Bay to the actual beach at the river mouth at the Crom, and used to feed that section of the beach and the sand spit. So that sand used to feed down this area to the beach there. Unfortunately, this section here now has become part of the village, and the river flow now has been diverted through there into the Crom River, and with the vegetation growing, that also is very, very much limited now. And this is one of the biggest subterranean aquifers in the southern hemisphere, and this all, when we had a lot of rain, this used to flood and push water and sand down the Sand River, and it used to flood out on our right here, which is actually where the Crom River is. Yeah, the construction of the golf course on this massive aquifer is and boreholes to spray and to irrigate the golf course has taken a huge amount of water out of this aquifer, and therefore the aquifer started to grow vegetation and it's overgrown now, which is a byproduct of the golf course. This used to feed the entire Crom River area, and then that used to get washed out through the river mouth. And that's what fed those dunes and kept the sand spit there, which is now washed away and has been eroded. And then you've also got to factor in the fact that we have the Elandsjacht Dam, which is upriver of the Crom, which was also developed, I think it was in 1983. So all that stuff came together. So you had no more flow of water down the Crom River to wash out the sand, no more flow of sand out the Sand River to feed the system, and then covering the dunes, which was the main sand flow for Bruce's Beauties. So if you wonder why these things happen, it's not because of climate change, it's because of development, especially in this area. Yeah, we're on a southern point here, and not only does this affect our beaches, you can see how these dunes from the beaches are actually fed from the southwesterly and then over the ridges into the next bay. These are the last beaches before the coast swings back. So that sand used to come off the Oyster Bay beach. Those dune fields used to feed into the St. Francis Bay, and this came off the Tay Spy beach into the St. Francis Bay area, and then obviously the beach at Cape St. Francis. But it affects all the beaches north of us, including Jeffreys Bay, Gamtoos, and as far as Port Elizabeth. Now, we've had big storms like this in the past, and we will continue to have them in the future. I mean, these are once in 50-year storms which you get, which are just a combination of a lot of factors coming together, and they will happen, and they'll happen again. But yeah, the erosion that we've seen here has been amplified because of all the changes that have been made, man-made changes to this whole area. Yeah, it's sad to think that this wave used to break on very small swells in knee-deep water basically on any day of the week, not necessarily a southeast swell. And yeah, it's hard when you've lived here and seen this to come back and to reconcile, you know, what has happened. It's always hard for me to come here because I always remember how it used to be. Anyway, I think some decent heads need to get together and to come up with a solution. I think the solution of putting groins out there would have been the better one if it was done earlier and could have saved a lot of this damage that's come now. Hopefully they can find a solution in the future, otherwise this sort of damage is going to happen again, and whether you can put a stop to it or not remains to be seen. Hopefully they'll put some groins out and produce 2 or 3 more surf breaks on the beach. Anyway, let's be positive. Let's hope we get some good surf coming down the line, and I can bring you some more decent surf without all the moaning. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Ciao for now.